guys, it's Crystal here, and for today's video, I normally do videos about reviews of products and whatnot, but for this video, it's going to be a little bit different and a little bit more special. It's going to be some tips or beauty hacks from me to you guys, and if you're already doing these tips, go ahead and let me know what you think about them in the comment section down below, and if they help you or not. If you haven't done these before, I hope that these tips are very helpful for you guys. Now, these tips are mainly for those who use facial sheet masks on a weekly basis, and facial sheet masks are something that's a big must in South Korean skincare routines, and South Koreans have been using facial sheet masks on a weekly basis, and they use it twice a week, or they use very extremely hydrating facial sheet masks right before applying makeup on. So facial sheet masks are a huge and important part of skincare for South Koreans, and facial sheet masks can be very inexpensive. It can range from $1 or more per sheet mask depending on what kind of sheet mask you are using or getting. Even though they're inexpensive, you can always get more out of your facial sheet masks than you are paying for, which is what I have for you guys today, is 3 easy tips that you guys can follow in order to get more out of your facial sheet masks, even if you're just paying a couple cents or $1 or so on your sheet masks. Now, these tips are more catered toward those who use facial sheet masks that are on the watery and liquidy side compared to those that use it on the slimy and thicker side. On the slimier and thicker side, I'm not sure if these tips are going to be helpful for you guys. I noticed that they're a little bit harder to do on slimier and thicker masks than they are for watery masks. So if you're the type of person that prefers watery masks, then these tips are perfect for you guys. So I have 3 easy tips that you guys can follow. So each of these, you're going to need, of course, your choice of a facial sheet mask. And then I do like to use something called I don't know what they're called. I call them chip clips. These things. They're the type of clips that keep your bags or your chip bags or whatever kind of thing you open. It's to prevent the air from making your chips or whatnot stale. So I like to use these to preserve the liquid that's left over after I use a facial sheet mask. Whenever you pull out a sheet mask and use it for the first time, there's always leftover solution or water that's left over in the bag from that facial sheet mask, so I like to preserve those. That's what you're going to be using for these 3 tips. So of course, you're going to want to use your preferred sheet mask, and what I like to do is that right before I open it, I kind of like to press or gently push some of the liquid off of the mask that's in the bag and down into the bottom of the bag. So I'm just going to gently push it down, and you don't want to press too hard because when you pull the mask out, you definitely don't want a dry mask when you put it on, so you just want enough, because I know that when I pull this out and use it without pushing the liquid down, a lot of water is actually dripping off of the mask, and that's actually a useful solution that you can use again and again. So I'm just pushing it down, and then I'm gonna go ahead and open the bag. And just to let you guys know, something that I noticed is that don't press the mask down while you pull the mask out, because you can actually either stretch the mask or rip it, and it's not gonna fit comfortably on your face than it normally would have. So once you open the bag up, the sheet mask that's in here, what I do is I pull it out of the bag in increments, and I press down and push the liquid or the solution of the mask down on the bottom of the bag. And then I'll pull the mask out and do the same thing. And I like to open the bag a little bit more every time I pull the mask out, so it prevents the bag from stretching my mask. And then there you go. You can go ahead and use this mask. And right after I use the first mask, I always like to go ahead and do these tips that I'm about to show you. So for my first tip, what I like to do is you can actually go out and purchase dry facial sheet masks and actually fold them up and put it in the bag. So the facial sheet masks that I typically like to use is these sheet masks right here. These are from Daiso. They are $3, and in this box it has 26 sheet masks. So for $3 you can get 26 dry facial sheet masks, and each facial sheet mask that you like, depending on where you get it, will fit your face differently. So I know I've tried those dry facial sheet masks from the Face Shop, Tony Moly, Aritam, and another random store, beauty store. I think it's a Chinese beauty store, I can't remember. And they were all not very comfortable on my face. So when I tried the Daiso one, this is the one that fitted my face structure the best. So I went and got this. So for this tip, you're gonna need that dry facial sheet mask, and you're basically just gonna fold it up. And once again, I like to do this right after I take out my facial sheet mask and use it for the first time. And when I want to use it again, these sheets or these tips or whatever are already soaking in the solution and you've given it enough time to use it for the second time. So I folded up the sheet mask and I opened the bag that has the solution in. So I don't know if you guys can see, there's quite a bit of solution already in the bag that of course can be used instead of throwing it away. And you just stick the sheet mask in there. And then what I like to do is I kind of do like to rotate my facial sheet masks in the bag while it's soaking, so that I'm getting all the corners of the facial sheet mask wet with the solution. And then when I'm done with that, I like to push out any air inside the bag, and then I use that chip clip and then I close it shut. So then it gives my sheet mask, the dry sheet mask, enough time to soak in the solution, so when I'm ready to use it again, I have it ready and it's pretty much soaking in the solution as much as I want it to, instead of having a little bit of dry spots. Now with the facial sheet mask, some parts of it may not be as soaking in the solution as other parts of the sheet mask. That's why I like to incorporate the silicone sheet mask that I talked about in my last video, and I'm gonna go ahead and link it right here. If you guys have not checked out that video yet about my review on the Daiso silicone mask, then go ahead and click on this video and check it out. But that is basically what I use the silicone sheet mask for. So some parts of it that are not that wet compared to other parts of the mask can either evaporate quickly. So for instance, if this part isn't as wet as other parts of your sheet mask, it can actually dry out quicker and then kind of come off of your face while other parts are still on it. So that's what I like to use the silicone sheet mask for, is to hold the mask back as well as preventing it from evaporating as quickly as it normally would have without it. So moving on to my second tip. Once again, this tip is also the best to do right after you open your sheet mask and use it for the first time. But this one, you're actually going to need some cotton pads. So these are the cotton pads. I highly recommend the cotton pads that are 5 layers, the ones that you can actually tear apart. So these are from Tony Moly. I got them for $6. They're the 5-layer cotton sheets. Once again, get the ones that are tearable, that you can split apart. And I already tried this. This one's okay. I think I prefer the one from the Face Shop over the ones from Tony Moly. The ones from Face Shop are a lot softer than the Tony Moly ones, but I mean, it does its job, so I don't have any complaints on that. Once again, you're gonna need that preferred facial sheet mask with a solution inside of it. And then you're going to take out your 5-layer sheet mask, and you're just gonna go ahead and stick it inside the bag. And this tip is also something I like to do right after I take out my sheet mask for the first time and use it, just so I give my cotton pads enough time to soak in the solution. So for this one, I do like to also rotate it, but these cotton pads are a little harder to rotate with, so I kind of just do the best I can in getting it wet. And I push it into the corner as much as I can, and then once again push the air out of the bag, and then use that chip clip and close that bag. So whenever you're ready to use it again, it should be soaking wet in the solution. Now for this tip, there is 5 layers of the cotton pad, so that's perfect. You will split up those 5 layers and you would stick it one on your forehead, one on your cheek, one on your other cheek, one on your nose, and one on your chin, and that's good enough. For my third and final tip, you're going to need something like this, a small spritz bottle, a clean spritz bottle. So for this one, it's going to be a little bit messier, and this is more for the especially liquidy facial sheet masks. So you're going to grab that sheet mask that is really liquidy and watery. You're going to open it up. This is mainly for those who don't want to spend money on cotton pads or those dry sheet masks and would prefer to do this option instead. So you're just going to pour the liquid inside of the spritz bottle. And I got about this much from the sheet mask. Of course you can scrape up more if you want, but this is fine. And then afterwards, once you put it into the bottle. You can actually spray it all over your face right before you sleep. You can use up the rest of the solution if you want to, or you can try to preserve it as much as you can, but you can spray it all over your face. Try to get your face soaking wet with it and then pat it onto your face, and then you could just go to sleep and then wake up and wash it off. That way your skin is getting the much needed advantages of the facial sheet mask that it has to offer for your skin. And in a way it can work like a mist if you want it to, but I would say use this at night, right before you go to sleep. And I personally like to use the whole bottle so that my face is soaking wet in the solution, and then just pat the solution into my skin, and that's all I do. And then another thing I like to note that I forgot to note earlier is that for tip 1 and 2, I do like to cut the bag open, and because there's always solution on the sides of the bag, and I kind of like to take the cotton pad or the facial sheet mask and kind of rub it on the sides as well, just so I can get as much solution as I can. You can actually collect a pretty decent amount of solution from the sides of the bag. And that basically just wraps up this video. I hope you find these 3 tips helpful and easy for you guys. And if you've already heard of these tips, already doing these tips, go ahead and tell me what you think about these tips in the comment section below. And if you're just now starting to do them, or if you found them helpful or not helpful, go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below as well. And I really hope you guys find this video very helpful for you guys. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.